Hi guys, today's sequence is focusing on runners. These poses are really good for just targeting a lot of the common issues that runners would have, such as plantar fasciitis, issues with their Achilles, maybe Achilles tendon, tight Achilles, tight calves and hammies, lower back, kind of spinal stiffness. Issues such as shin splints. So obviously if there's anyone with any injuries that they're currently having treated by physios or doctors, you need to just make sure you get a go ahead before doing these poses. And otherwise just really make sure you just take your time doing them, and as ever just not to put your body through any pain. The other common issue runners would have would be poor breathing techniques. So really just yoga is a really good way to get into the habit of lengthening and deepening your breath, and just making that association between a deep breath assisting in creating more stamina, more endurance within the body, and also helping to ensure that your stretching is done in a very safe and effective manner. So before doing this sequence, you would want to have done a bit of a warm up so the body's somewhat heated up, and also you may want to have a blanket for nearby if you have any issues with your knees or with the tops of your feet. And so we're going to begin by coming straight down onto the floor and coming into tabletop. So we want to have our hands shoulder distance apart, fingers spread, fingers pointing forwards, arms nice and straight here. So your shoulder is stacking over your elbow and your elbow stacks over your wrist. And you keep that strength in the arm all the time so that you're not compromising your joints. Knees are hip distance apart and your knee is below your hip. Lower leg then is parallel to the side of your mat or whatever you're working on at the moment. Tops of the feet are into the floor, or alternatively you can just tuck the toes under slightly or pop a blanket underneath there if you need to. So we're going to start off with just a few rounds of cat-cows just to get into the habit of a nice deep breath. So making sure that the core is engaged. Don't lose your neck here. Keep that lengthening out through the spine. And then when you're ready, taking a deep breath in, taking the head up, taking the pelvis up, sending your tummy down towards the floor, broaden across the chest, exhale. Round the spine, draw the shoulder blades away from each other, tuck your tummy in. Inhaling up, exhaling down. We'll do one more. Inhale up, exhale down, and then coming back into tabletop. So we're going to tuck our toes under now, as if we're going to come up into a downward dog, but we're not going to quite come up. So we're going to just begin to press into our toes here. You'll feel a bit of a stretch at the base of the toes into the balls of the feet, into the soles of the feet. This is really good for anyone who has any issues with tight Achilles or plantar fasciitis, those kind of issues. So pressing, pressing, pressing. And then you can just hold this pose if you wish, or alternatively if you want to up it a notch, just take your knees an inch up off the floor. We hold it for 3 breaths. Keep the arms strong, keep the core engaged. One more breath, inhale. And exhale, you can drop the knees. Take the tops of the feet, we're going to press them into the floor. I'm going to do the same here. So pressing, pressing, pressing. Stretching out the tops of the feet. 3 breaths. You can always increase or reduce the number of breaths. And then when you're ready, and if you wish, taking the knees up an inch. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Drop the knees down. Tuck the toes under, and now we will come up into our downward dog. So keep the hands pressing into the floor. Keep your arms straight. Bring your body back in between your arms. And then keeping a nice generous bend in the knees initially.
slowly beginning to pedal up and down here. So really, really slowly. So bring down one heel and just really feel that stretch into your Achilles and into the calf muscles. And we go and do the same on the other side. So we just want to do 3 or 4 on each side. Keep lengthening out through the spine here as well. And keep breathing. And then just come into a downward dog for 1 breath. So draw the heels down as much as you can. And then slowly begin to walk to the front of the mat. As you come to the front of the mat, keep the knees nice and bent. Fold down here for a forward fold. Drop the head. And again here now you really want to mind your hamstrings and the lower back. So bend your knees as much as you need to so that you're not feeling any discomfort. And then as you go on, you might be able to stretch them out a small bit and straighten the legs. And then with the next breath, bending the knees slightly, taking your arms back behind you, and we're going to come up into chair. So I'm going to draw the arms forward. Take your time bringing your head up so you don't get a head rush after being inverted a little bit. So bring the weight of your body back into the heels, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears, sending your tailbone down, engaging in the core. So this is really good for strengthening up your core, your thighs, strengthening the ankles, and really good for stretching out the Achilles. Keep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. We're going to do one more sink a little bit deeper for the last breath. Inhale. Exhale, and then slowly come up to standing. Okay, we're going to come to widthways on the mat. So we're going to come to standing with our legs wide, 2 to 3 feet wide. So the taller you are, the wider you want that stance. Not so wide that it's uncomfortable on the inside of your thighs though. Outside of your feet are parallel to the sides of the mat. Legs are nice and strong. So good muscle energy going on here, which is basically muscle adhering to bone just to make it a really strong stance for you in this. Tuck your tailbone under as well and engage in the core. So we're going to begin with some, just doing a couple of warrior poses, which are really good for leg strength and for hip mobility. So we start with the left leg, press into the left heel, lift the ball of the foot and toes up, swivel them out and drop them. And then with that right foot, then you press into the heel and you just take the foot in slightly. So 10-15 degrees. If you feel a little bit unsteady here, you can always move the left foot in slightly, just maybe an inch. Your left heel should be cutting through your right arch. Hands on the hips, turn the body to face the left foot. So you keep that left leg nice and strong. Don't allow any of your body weight to come to the outside of that left foot. So the 4 corners of that left foot press into the floor. Back leg is nice and strong as well. Hands up. Draw the shoulders down. You keep your upper body then nice and upright. You don't lean forward. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, and we begin to bend into that left knee. Now you keep the left knee over the left ankle. If your left knee shoots out onto over the top of the foot, it's gone too far. You need to readjust that. And then you just allow your pelvis to sink down towards the floor as much as possible. Keep breathing here now. Inhale and exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. Take another breath. As you exhale, we're going to open up into warrior 2. Take the arms straight out. Keep your upper body nice and upright. Take the shoulders down away from the ears. Make sure that right hand is in alignment with your left. Now, as your body has turned, your left knee may want to move. Don't allow it to. Make sure you keep stacking over that ankle. Hold this for 3. Keep that back leg strong. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Coming down and coming into center. Start off in our starting position with feet right across from each other. Press into the right heel. Foot up, out, and down. Press into the left heel. Take it in slightly. Hands on the hips. Turn around this time. Now we're going to face that right foot. Press the four corners of the right foot into the mat and bring your right hip back as much as you can, left hip forward as much as you can. Try to make the hips nice and level and square. Arms up, deep breath in. Exhale, bend now into the right knee. Right knee stacks over the right ankle. Keep breathing. Draw the shoulders down. One more breath here. Inhale and exhale. Next breath. Inhale. As you exhale, opening up now. Warrior two. Shoulders down. Keep that right knee over the right ankle. Keep your gaze out over your right hand. Sinking down for the last breath. Inhale and exhale. Coming back into center. Keep the wide leg stance, feet right across from each other. We're going to come into a forward fold here. This is really good for the outside of the ankles. Get a nice stretch going into them there. Great for the legs as well. So keeping the legs nice and strong, core nicely engaged. Take your hands onto the hips, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, begin to bring the body forward. So lead with the chest, folding down. This is good for your lower back as well, for stretching out that part of the body. So if your hands don't come down to the floor, you could always just grab your folded blanket and pop it there just to bring the floor up to meet you. Alternatively, you can take your hands onto opposite elbows and hang here, or you keep your hands on your hips. Allow your head to be heavy here, so allow the weight of your head to draw you down towards the floor. Keep breathing. Mind you, don't kind of hold on to tension in the neck or the shoulders here, so make sure that area is nice and loose. We'll just do one more breath here now. Inhale and exhale. We're going to come up nice and slowly. So take your hands onto your hips. Keep your legs strong. Press both feet into the mat. Inhale. And we're going to slowly rise to standing. Okay, so now we're just going to bring our feet in and we're going to come back down onto the floor into our tabletop. So the next stretch is called runner's stretch. It's quite an intense stretch, so I would always recommend that people do it towards the end of a practice or towards the end of a warm-up, not to go straight into doing it. You may want to have a folded blanket or something that might bring a bit of height that you can put your hand on as you come down into the stretch, or alternatively, if you're beside a wall, you can use the wall as a bit of support. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up into our tabletop and take our fingertips onto the floor, and then we're going to take our left leg forward. So what we want to do is we want to have our left leg extended out straight in front, toes pointing up towards the ceiling, and then we want to have our right knee stacking below our right hip. So you may need to bring your hip forward to kind of bring the leg out initially. So you may need to hold on here and slowly just begin to bring your body down. If you're resting your hands on your thighs, just make sure it is your thigh. Don't place your hand on your knee and push or put any weight into the knee. So otherwise you can take your hands down here. And what we want to do is we want to lengthen up through the spine and we want to fold down onto that leg. So we want to hinge into the hips, so you don't really want to be rounding the back here. So just come to the point where you feel steady. And then when you're ready, just slowly begin to walk the hands out away from you. And really begin to get into that deep breathing. So inhaling. As you exhale, you want to lengthen through the spine and begin to fold down. Make sure you don't try and stretch through any pain. And then just get to the point where you're feeling that you can, you know, enough comfort or discomfort that you can hold it for a few breaths. See if you'll soften another little bit just for the last breath. And then slowly walk the hands back in. Just take your hands down. We're going to take that left foot back. Just take your hands shoulder distance apart. Just going to ask you just to come up into a downward dog for a moment. Just to see if you notice if that left heel is able to draw down a little bit closer to the floor. If it does, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's equally great. It's just want to kind of explore that little bit of an extra stretch into the left leg. And we'll take the knees down, we'll do the right hand side. So taking that right foot forward now, and same here. So you may need to bring your hips forward to stretch out and strengthen that right leg, but make sure you bring the hips back so that the left hip is over the right. Oh, sorry, left hip is over the left knee. So right leg is nice and extended now, toes up towards the ceiling. And again, if you need to stay here and just use a wall as a bit of support coming down, otherwise taking the hands down and again hinging into the hips and then slowly beginning to walk out. Inhale, lengthen up, exhale, release down. And there's probably one side where you can get a little bit deeper, which would be normal. And just do one more here. Inhale and exhale and releasing down. You can take that right foot back now. Take the hands down. And again, just draw the heels down for one more stretch into the legs. Take the knees down. And then you can just come to lying on your back for a moment. We're just going to take the knees in towards the chest. And we're just going to release out after that. Knees into center. Allow the knees to fall to one side. And to the other. And back to center. And there we go. So, thank you everyone for being here today. We'll just take our hands together in front of the heart. We'll just do 3 nice big deep breaths to finish. So deep breath in, exhaling, deep breath in, and one more. Inhale, and slowly release through the mouth. Thanks guys, stay safe. See you soon. Namaste.